Hello and welcome. Let's get straight into it. You don't need to draw that well to create a good storyboard because its main function is to communicate what you have going on in your head to your cast and crew. So it complements the script as well as the conversations that you'll have with your director of photography so that they can best sort of see what you have in mind to create your vision. For my latest film Saturn, I did a rough storyboard and it didn't need much communication as I did it all myself, but still it's useful to have something to draw from on the day of the shoot. I'm going to show you how to easily draw some characters, their environment, as well as a technique for character and camera action, which is always very useful to have as a blueprint. And I'm also going to do it by creating just a fresh story using these story cubes. Right, well, let's see what happens. After a quick workshop, I wrote a script and got down to business. Look, the truth is, you can draw stick figures for your storyboard as long as you can convey the information to your crew. That's all you need to do, right? For example, two men have just robbed a bank and the police are outside trying to stop them. There we go. You can see an over-the-shoulder perspective from the robbers. Done. But you might want to give your characters a little bit of life, a little bit of meat on their bones. And so I'm going to show you how to draw some basic people. First, just like stick figures, you establish construction lines to create a skeleton, a simplified version of what you want to see in a frame, and then you add detail. So I start off with the position of the character, right, an oval for the head, lines for the spine, shoulders, hip, arms and legs, and then I circle these lines to add the volume, their sort of muscles. Now this is very basic drawing, there's much better people out there, but like I said, this is just for the storyboard. And now you have a body, right, and construction lines makes it easier to draw what you need. This technique allows you to mold, expand, evolve the form as you desire by having a line for where you want their limbs to be. So for example, a character holding a cup of coffee and waving their arms in the air. Here's one flying with a cape. Here's, not that, ignore that. If a character is fat, for example, by simply adding a line for the contour of a larger belly, it immediately becomes easier to draw their basic shape. This skeleton, this blueprint, then makes it easier to add detail that you might find important to identify your character, especially, for example, there's more than one person on screen. So this one's a medieval warrior, and here's a lady smoking a cigarette. Then you can start playing and having fun with your drawings and see what you can create. Just have fun, experiment. One more drawing that I think is important to know is how to draw a face, useful for close-ups and extreme close-up shots. So you draw an oval which represents the entire head, and then I add a vertical line down the middle and two horizontal ones where you'd find the eyes. This makes it easier to draw the position of the eyes, the nose and the mouth, so it doesn't look like a potato head or a Picasso painting. And then I add some hair. Now their heads can change shape if needed, but it all depends on how detailed you need a storyboard to be. The more you draw, the better you'll be, and the more detail you'll be able to add, and actually that might be quite fun. You might find that your script will become a comic book before it becomes a movie. It all depends on the story that you're trying to tell. Once you have these basic drawing skills learned, you have to place what you want the audience to see inside a frame. Like, what does the composition of the shot look like, and how might it amplify the character's psychology on screen? Next up, I'll show you some examples from the storyboard I created, and some techniques to convey character and camera action. First line from this quick and random script is a description. An unkempt, slobbish man makes cereal in his room. A note on his whiteboard saying, "You are forbidden to go outside." Now there's an infinite number of ways you could approach this. Each and every single one of us would see that differently. Now I've chosen to focus on what's being said on a whiteboard. You are forbidden to go outside. It's a striking message and will make the audience immediately wonder why that character is not allowed to leave. It gives them a reason to stay and watch to discover the reason. My first thought was to have him face away the camera, the audience, making him feel unseen, locked away from the outside world. But I wanted the whiteboard with its message to be bigger than him, as if it's oppressing him, overbearing, and I wasn't too sure how to make him physically small. Perhaps a close-up on the character's face, with the message visually next to his head, suggesting that rule is always on his mind. Or maybe, the focus could be on the message, with the character in the background blurred, so the audience would see someone or something moving, but we're unsure what or whom, and then the rack focus could introduce him second. Being blurred from frame reinforces that feeling of helplessness, of being disregarded, unimportant. But it's a little difficult pulling a rack focus on your own. All I have is my iPhone camera and no crew to work with, so resource filmmaking is kind of forcing me to amend my creative desires. So here's the first frame that I drew. Potentially I could be zoomed in on the message and then track backwards to reveal him second. The audience would only know that he's there because he's eating cereal. The way you show it on the storyboard so your director of photography is up to date is by adding arrows to show the direction of camera and character. I do blue for the camera and red for the characters. A storyboard is a good starting point to be better prepared for the day of the shoot, and it's a great platform from which you can improvise and be inspired and allow for healthy conversations between you and your director of photography, who is likely to give you ideas to strengthen your vision. A quick additional example, you could shape the light so that the message is lit while your character is left in the dark. Possibilities are endless, interpretations are infinite. That's why it's so fun. And also why some artists are consumed by the work they do. Because we don't only want to express ourselves as best as we can, for our sake, so that I may know myself better, to find my voice and remain authentic to what brings me joy, but to also find the best ways to communicate and connect with other people on the complexities of what it means to be human. Thanks for watching, like this video, subscribe to my channel, get involved in the comment section below, and the short film that I made based on that little script that I wrote is next on the list.